Okay, here is our worksheet, page 461 in our Go Math. And to get you started, I love this worksheet right here, partly because I really like the vocabulary that's on here, and it talks about it right here, the things that we need to know. And there's another vocabulary word on here that we're going to talk about that we didn't have in our notes. But unlock the problem. You can find models of lines in the world around you. For example, two streets that cross each other model intersecting lines. Ooh, that's a new word for us. Metal rails on a train track that never cross model parallel lines. And so I like this because it's going to show you also how intersecting parallel and perpendicular lines and how they're written, how you read it, and how you write it. So this definitely, I'm going to tell my students when we get this done, we're going to cut this out and paste it into our notes as well. This is really good. So what are intersecting lines? They are lines in a plane that cross in exactly one point. Intersecting lines form four angles. So they're just lines that cross each other. If two lines cross each other, even perpendicular lines cross each other. They could cross any way. They could look like an X, any way. Then they are intersecting. Think about a street when they come to an intersecting. It means that there's four there's two roads that come together, and then you have different ways that you can go. Okay, to read it, and this says reading it, read line HI. So notice they said HI. So I'm looking for the two letters that they do, and I see what line they're talking about. Intersects with line JK. So I'm looking here for JK at point X. This is the end point or the point that they intersect. Here's how you write it, which I find is so interesting. Let me pull it up a little bit. And so HI, notice they put a line on it and they put arrows on both of those ends, and JK, and they put arrows on both ends of JK, telling you that those are lines, intersect at point X. Okay, so that's how you would see it written if they're talking about a line. Okay, parallel lines are lines in a plane that are always the same distance apart. Parallel lines never intersect. So right here you have two sets of lines, and they're never, ever, ever going to meet. Okay. And we talked about that, the railroad tracks, I've seen in parallel, I've seen this trick before, or a teacher teach their kids that there's two L's in there and the L's never touch, so there's parallel right there. I think that's kind of interesting. Line, the way that you would read is line DE is parallel to line FG. And notice they're saying DE, so I'm looking at this line, and FG, they're parallel. Notice how they write it. Here's how you'll see it written on the worksheets. The symbol, and it looks like two lines, okay, means is parallel to. So this is saying line D to E is parallel to F to G. And what I like about it is it looks exactly like what parallel lines are. So when you see this, you know they're talking parallel. That's exactly what the lines are going to look like. Okay? Perpendicular lines are lines in a plane that intersect to form four right angles. So they give you an example of this right here. The way that you read it is line LM is perpendicular to line NO. So LM is this line right here, is perpendicular to NO, which is this line here. So where they meet, these make 90-degree angles. They make that very straight into the corner angle. Here's the symbol, and I like the symbol because the symbol is actually parallel. LM, and notice they have two arrows on the top, is parallel to NO. And notice that there's also on the top, it's saying it's a line because there's two arrows on the end of the line. So this is line LM is, perpendicular. That's right, it's perpendicular. See, these are parallel. but that makes a perpendicular line. So that line right there, if you look, when they do this, this is perpendicular to this. Those make two 90-degree angles. So what you're saying is you're looking for lines that make that. The symbol, this symbol means is perpendicular to. Go back to this notes and this page right here to help you with your work. Now on the bottom, I'm going to do this one with you. They give you a picture of streets and they want you to tell how the streets appear to be related, perpendicular, parallel, or intersecting. And if you don't have a, if you can't tell with your pencil, you're always welcome to use a highlighter. But most students, use their pencil, but they go, okay, so we want to write perpendicular, parallel, or intersecting down here. So we're going to look at the streets, and on this first one, it's West 36th Street and Broadway. So I'm going to look at West 36th Street, and it goes this way. And Broadway is right here. When I look at those angles right here, let me highlight it, maybe you can see it better. When I look at these angles, they don't quite make that 90-degree angle. If I take a piece of paper in there, do you see that it's actually a 90-degree angle would be bigger? It would come off out to the side here. I mean, it's got to be straight up and straight to the side there. Do you see how it should come up? So to me, they just intersect. So these are intersecting streets. They just intersect each other. Okay? And we'll look here and you'll see the difference. Okay. The next one, West 35th Street. That's this one right here. And 7th Avenue. Now look at those. See how this kind of curves in? They kind of curve into each other. This one's more straight open. And if we put my little piece of paper on it, does it make exactly that 90-degree? Yes, it does. So these are what we call, because they make 90-degree angles, it's perpendicular. And 37th Street and West 36th Street. So West 37th is right here and West 36th. Oh, do they even cross each other and they're equally apart? So that would be parallel. And that symbol looks like this, and this one looks like this. And I notice that they are apart from each other, so that's parallel. Perpendicular, they make that 90 degrees. Okay. Go ahead and do the back. You may need to talk to your parents on this one. Also, to describe a corner, you could say the walls of, the master bedroom. The two walls that meet or are adjacent to each other is another word, but say next to each other. Okay. Sometimes it's just using the word walls and back wall, the front wall, and labeling them. And I noticed that on this page when you're doing this page. Use your notes. Go back and listen to these notes as often as you need to.